Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to look at one of the special races, in my opinion, the Tour of Denmark. Of course I'm Danish, so I'm always going to think this is a very special race. And we are here on stage 2 with 2 breakaway riders out in front and the peloton in hot pursuit. And this was the second stage of the 2018 edition, also marked as the Queen stage, as the finishing circuit was 2 reps up Kielsvej, which is a very steep climb in Denmark, to say the least. It's 325 meters long and it has a 19% maximum gradient and averages about 13%. So it's been a test over the years. The key focal point of this video, of course, is Wout Van Aert, who was going to be tested on it as well. So at the front we have Bargnani, the Italian team CSF, really leading the bunch here, and they really wanted to get something out here, the pro-continental Italian team, and it seemed like everyone else was basically just letting them do this. And one of the things I will mention here is that the field of that year's Tour of Denmark wasn't that strong. We only had 3 World Tour teams and then a plethora of pro-conti teams, so it really was anyone's to grab this race so early on as well. But Bargnani CSF really were taking up the reins here, and Wout Van Aert's team were neatly lined up behind them. But we get on to Kielsvej, the first rep, and we can see the 2 riders out in front. One of them is Julius Johansen, who has actually appeared on the channel before in the lockdown interviews, and we'll hear about his experience a bit later in the video. But he was only 18 years old at the time, so this was a very big moment for the Dane, and he was joined by Robin Carpenter of the Rally squad, and Rally were actually a pro-continental team for the first time in their history, so a very big year for them, and he was no slouch, to say the least. He won the Tour of Alberta in 2016, so the American really was a rider of note. We then see the chasers getting organized on the bottom of the hill, and we can see that Wout Van Aert is quick to react to any moves, and we can see it is actually a Bargnani CSF rider who does make the initial move, and Wout Van Aert is very quick to get on the wheel of that minor surge, even though it's on the penultimate rep, and you can just see Wout Van Aert neatly tucked in there. Then we come to one of the big surprises here, Mads Pedersen, the defending champion, struggling on the first time up Kielsvej, and that was a big surprise, as not only did he win the stage in the previous edition, he also won the overall in the previous edition. And you might be asking yourself, why was he not wearing the Trek Segafredo kit? That was because he was part of the Danish national team here, as Trek Segafredo didn't actually line up a squad for that year's race, unfortunately for him. But just under 6 kilometers to go, the 2 breakaway riders out in front have a lead of about 12 seconds. That doesn't seem to be too much over the chasing bunch. But Robin Carpenter and Julius Johansen cross the finishing line, and then they have one more lap of this small circuit to go before they get to the finish. And we can just see Lorenzo Rota has managed to escape from the leaders, and he now is in this weird vacuum between the chasers and the 2 breakaway riders. But Julius Johansen adopts this very neat tucked position to get into the most aerodynamic position possible, and they are going at a tremendous speed. The lead has been cut down to 5 seconds now, with just about 5.2 kilometers to go. When we next look at the peloton, we can see that it shrunk down completely. There's only a handful of riders here, maybe 30 riders in it, and Aqua Blue and Wout Van Aert are really positioning themselves out in the front. With 3 kilometers to go, they built out the lead to 22 seconds to the chasing leaders group in effect, and Rota, who's in the middle for Bargnani CSF, is 14 seconds behind them. So unfortunately he is caught in this void area. But when we look at the peloton, we can see that there is one team lining up perfectly, and that is Wout Van Aert for Wout Van Aert. They're not doing the work exactly here at the front. It is led by Aqua Blue in that beautiful kit, and they are clearly lining up the cyclocross superstar that is Wout Van Aert. With 1.7 kilometers to go, Julius Johansen and Carpenter have actually built the lead up to 21 seconds, and at this point it's very touch and go whether they will be caught, but they still do have that last 300 meters that will be very hard as they come around the corner where we actually joined this video on, and we can just about see the distance. They're just seeing the chasers there, and there's a very long way between the 2. Aqua Blue are still leading this for their team leader, which is Kasper Pedersen, we think, and Wout Van Aert are hot in pursuit after that. And now, very interestingly, we see Robin Carpenter and Julius Johansen on that downhill section before we go uphill as we come to the 1 kilometer mark, and Robin Carpenter has actually adopted the Chris Froome position here, getting into the tuck position and just eking out that bit more of an advantage. Then when Julius Johansen comes around, he comes with a bit more speed as Robin Coppicer sits up, and with that acceleration, he actually puts in more power, and then he manages to forge a gap between him and Robin Coppicer, but he accidentally overcooks the corner there, and that allows Robin Coppicer to get back to Julius Johansen, and unfortunately the Dane also loses a bit of distance to the American. We get here on the bottom slopes, and Julius Johansen is clearly struggling compared to Robin Coppicer, rocking side to side, but the two riders in the lead actually have 13 seconds on the chasers with 700 meters to go. So at this point, it was still very close, to say the least. But Julius Johansen is really struggling to stay on Robin Coppicer's wheel. As you can see there, he's rocking side to side, the young 18-year-old. Then next we clip to the chasers group, 12 seconds behind, and you can see Alexander Kamp is the rider who actually opens up the acceleration, and Wout Van Aert is very quick to notice Alexander Kamp's acceleration, and he jumps quickly on the wheel. Alexander Kamp and Wout Van Aert are similar kind of riders, and Wout Van Aert probably the better version of the two. And Alexander Kamp acceleration continues up probably the steepest part of the climb, and Wout Van Aert is hot on his heels. You can see Robin Coppicer and Julius Johansen getting to the top of the climb, so now there's only 500 meters between them and potentially a Tour of Denmark stage win. And from the helicopter angle, we can see here we have Julius Johansen and Robin Coppicer, and there we have Wout Van Aert and Alexander Kamp hot in pursuit. But you can see the speed between the two pairs is very different, and Kamp and Van Aert look like they're going a lot quicker, and of course they haven't been out in a breakaway that long. Alexander Kamp is the one driving the pace for Van Aert and Kamp, but when Kamp sits up, Wout Van Aert comes through with a monstrous pace, as he knows something needs to be done if they're going to chase the two leading duo who have been out there for that long time. You can see Kamp is just about managing to cling on to the slipstream of Wout Van Aert, and then when Wout Van Aert passes the two breakaway riders, Kamp gets caught behind the two breakaway riders, and he just accelerates another gear here, looks back for a moment and sees that Alexander Kamp has not managed to come through the breakaway duo and has been left behind. And here we can see Wout Van Aert just opens up his engine and there solos to the finish. So an absolute incredible demonstration of power there by Wout Van Aert. Yeah, there was no one who can match him at the top of Kielswijk. And now we hand over to Julius Johansen, who was actually fourth on the stage and out in the breakaway. So this is, as I mentioned, from the lockdown interview. So without further ado, here is Julius Johansen's experience of the Tour of Denmark that year.
How did you feel being racing on Denmark's biggest race?
Yeah, that's amazing. Just something I have looked up to since I was a little kid and just want to do that race. And I come in and I knew I come in a good shape. I just come out from a long training camp with the national team. So I knew I could do it, and I was a little bit lucky sometimes and got away from the biggest stage on the King stage, got on a breakaway that was close to hold to the end, but yeah, been catch on the finish line and got number 4. But after that I was good in the general qualification, so I end up with winning the white jersey. That was amazing to ride in it on the last stage. I was very close to where I lived. So yeah, amazing to see all the friends and be there for such a big race. That's just amazing.
So Wout Van Aert actually managed to clinch the overall at that year's Tour of Denmark. He came second in the time trial behind Mads Pedersen, who actually managed to recover some performance during that week. And he finished ahead of Rasmus Quaid and Lasse Norman Hansen. So a very welcome first GC win for Wout Van Aert in his road cycling career. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you've liked this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on any of our other videos. And thank you as always for watching.